Alright, what is up guys? It is Nick back with another video. Gonna try to really crank out a lot of videos in a short amount of time, hopefully one a day, but if it is your first time here, welcome in. I will be getting better at creating these videos and all of the edits and everything, but for now, I'm just trying to put out content. I don't really have time and energy right now. I do kind of have time, but not the energy after, like, I am like about to fall asleep here. I don't have the energy to put tons of work into editing these videos, especially if I want to just crank out a ton of videos in like one a day. So for now, we're gonna have to deal with it until I do get an actual, what's it called? An actual like editing software where I could do all that. But for now, this we're gonna have to deal with. Anyways, the reason why I clicked on this video, why I keep $1,540 in my checking account. And I know that's an interesting number, but I'm going to break down to why this number makes perfect sense. So to start off, it's because of my income here. So that is the big kind of reveal, but I'm going to go into break down my income and how this works for me and how you can apply it for you. And then also the psychological benefits kind of behind why I do this, because obviously like you just get paid, you keep all your money in your paycheck in your checking account and let that be. But there's some psychological things that I'll talk about in the next slide, which actually makes sense of why you should do something like this. I'm not saying exactly 20%, exactly $1,540, whatever it is. This is just what makes sense for me. So maybe you can use some of these numbers to help you figure out what your gold number is. But I I try to live off of 20% of my income, which seems very, very, very low. Um, but it makes sense. I have a decent income, and I also we'll talk about this. Well, I got it's right here. Rent, car insurance, other bills, for example. Those things I typically take out of my savings account, so I'm not technically living off 20% of my income. But for each week, I do no, I don't live off 20% of my income. Is that 40? I don't even know what I'm talking about, guys. 20%. Wait, hold on. Ah, okay, I live off. Okay, it's 40%. Why did I thought it was 20? It's 20% of what I get for each week, but for a paycheck of 2 weeks, I do spend that 1540, which is 40% of my income. So I'm basically living off 40% of my income, and then rent and other bills will come out of my savings. Sorry that I was like, no way, 20. That sounds way too low. But the way that I do it is, so let's say I have the 1540 in my account and I get paid in 2 weeks. I just got paid. I have 1540 in my account. For week one, I typically spend about 770. This is kind of like what I like averaged from the past 6 months. So this is me more recently just setting this boundary. I kind of just let myself kind of spend from week to week, not really budgeting myself too much. And now I'm kind of at a point where, okay, this is kind of what I'm spending. I want to try to stick to this average. Maybe we'll see. I've done it for one paycheck so far, and I think I had $75 or 1 week. Yeah, one full week, and I had 75, which is one paycheck. No, I'm confusing myself. 2 weeks, one paycheck. I had $75 extra. And what I did with that extra money is just put it into my Robinhood account. I could either just put it in my savings account too, but I just put it in my Robinhood account. Don't really care too much which one it goes into. But the way that I do it is I have about $770 per week to spend. And at the end of the week, I have every Friday my credit card gets paid off. So if it's 770 or less, pay it off. If it's at that 770 point, that is perfect. I don't have to do anything. I'm just ready for the next week. If it is below that 770 point, I will also, I could technically transfer the extra into my savings or my Robinhood account, but on average, like getting that 770, like one week it's going to be more, one week it's going to be less, but the average is about 770. So I will keep that extra in that account for that next week. And if that next week, by next Friday, if it's over under that 770, whatever it is, then the extra, if there's extra and I'm lower for both weeks, then I will put that extra into savings or my Robinhood account. If it is over, obviously I have money in my savings that I can grab, but I haven't had that problem yet. But this is part of the psychological thing, which is I don't think I'll ever really go over unless like I'm traveling or buying like birthday presents or Christmas presents, something like that. But those are like odd out purchases that you need to get that you don't typically budget for in your week to week spending. That's more of what my savings account is kind of for, is to get those odd purchases taken care of. Okay, the psychological part behind this biggest thing is like you don't overspend. So if you get your paycheck and you have like let's say $5,000 or $10,000 in your checking account and you just spend from it whenever you want, you're gonna basically feel like you have unlimited money. You can, oh yeah, I can go out to eat. Oh, I can go with this with friends and do this. There's no really real sense of scarcity, I guess, with your money, and you're not really paying attention too much to how much you're spending and what you're spending, things like that. But for me, when I give myself I set a budget and I give myself a certain amount to spend each week, if I'm getting close to that point, like on Wednesday, Thursday, or even like getting towards Friday, I'm not gonna go out to eat. I'm not gonna go do something with a friend. I'm not gonna go to the bar, whatever. Like, I'm gonna be like, shoot, my budget is getting close for the week. I gotta lock down and just not do anything. So that also helps train you too not to overspend early in the week. So by the time you get to the end of the week, you do have some money, and hopefully be conservative enough to have extra money at the end of each week. Again, this stops unnecessary purchases as well. You only have $770. If you are trying to make $1,000 purchase, and obviously I'll have like 1,500 in my checking account, but that's a lot of like my weekly budget. It's like, can I really survive? Like if I want to go buy something, can I really survive off 500 whatever bucks for 2 weeks? I don't think so. So it makes me second guess that, because then I have to go into my savings if I actually do want to buy it to pull the money out. And typically by having that psychological thing set up of like going into a savings account, taking money out of an account, taking money out of a savings account, honestly is like one of the most like painful things to do, because you work so hard to put money in there and you don't want to touch it. You don't want to see that account number go down ever. So it really does help you kind of second guess those bigger purchases. Going out to eat, I kind of already said that. Like towards the end of the week, if your budget's getting close, you're not really going to go out to eat. Even earlier in the week, like if you're spending like 20 some bucks on a meal, like dang, I can only do this like a couple times before I'm getting close to my budget on top of like all the other expenses. Um, Again, too, it's a good gauge to just know when you're getting close to like spending your weekly amount. You're like, okay, like I'm spending my limit. Like this is what I said I was gonna do. And then again, it is easy to track. It is easy to track. You see, like figure out your number of what you want to spend and just know it. And when you see your credit card getting closer and closer to that number, it is like it just makes it go easily trackable. And then financial goals, this is like a really good way just to keep your finances just on track. Like if you set the limit, like I cannot spend more than this much within 2 weeks, it's gonna like keep you on your financial goal, because it is like what you're used to living on and you can live on it. And some weeks you might even like it might motivate you like, okay, like let's see how, like for me, this is a new thing I started doing. This is one thing I actually just noticed is like last week I had like, I think it was Wednesday, and it was like $400 I had spent of my 770, and I was like, let's see how low I can get it. And I ended up actually having to go to the grocery store and get gas, and I think that was about it. So like It was like $500. So I actually went way under what my weekly budget was. And so then I was like, all right, now I have like all this extra money. Boom, boom, savings, whatever. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going at, but you get the point where I feel like most people wouldn't see it as a game of seeing how little of an amount they can spend, but for me it is. I feel like some people will just max out their budget, but as long as you got a budget, it's fine. For me, it's kind of like a little game that I've just kind of decided like, okay, like this is kind of fun. Let me see how much I cannot spend in a week. But that's gonna be it for this video, guys. That's a really short one. I hope you guys did enjoy. And if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to comment down below. This is kind of my number I go off of. So again, kind of pick out your number and just go with it. I think the recommended thing is like being able to live off 50% of your expenses. Honestly, I might try to lower this number in the future. This is kind of just what I was living off with no budget. And I think my first 2 weeks, whatever, I had like $75 left over anyways. Um, so we'll see what it is in like a week or so, because this is my second week right here for the new round. Um, so we'll see how much money I have left over to spend. But again, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next video. And we'll see you in the next video. I'm so tired. Peace.